The darkness that Samia Suluhu Hassan thought was being hidden from the public eye is now beginning to surface. New video evidence circulating online appears to show police officers firing live ammunition at unarmed civilians in Tanzania during the tense period surrounding the recent presidential election. These videos, shared widely by media personality Mange Kimambi, have triggered shock, anger, and deep concern across the region. They appear to capture late-night scenes where a group of citizens, visibly unarmed and seemingly peaceful, are confronted by gunfire. Gunfire that, according to those interpreting the footage, was not aimed at dispersing crowds or issuing warnings, but was directed to harm and potentially to unalive them. The footage in one widely discussed clip shows a small group of Tanzanians standing on a street at night. There are no signs of confrontation, no weapons, no visible threat. Moments later, individuals believed to be police officers open fire. The reaction is immediate: panic, confusion, and people running for their lives. The ambient silence of the night is broken by the crack of bullets. While the government is yet to acknowledge this incident and many others shared on social media, the images are now at the center of a growing national conversation about the use of force, state accountability, and the protection of basic human rights. This is happening at a moment when political tensions are already high. President Samia Suluhu Hassan was sworn in yesterday in a ceremony that was heavily guarded, restricted, and closed to the public. The absence of ordinary Tanzanians at the event has been widely interpreted as a sign of heightened security concerns and possibly a response to fears of protest. At the same time, Tanzanians only recently regained access to social media platforms and messaging services after days of widespread internet restrictions. The restoration came with a strong government warning, advising citizens not to share images or content that could, in their wording, incite disorder or threaten public peace. However, this warning has not stopped the circulation of the newly emerged videos. If anything, it appears to have accelerated it.
Oya wanatupiga risasi za chuma, risasi hizo wanatupiga risasi hizi, risasi. Piga risasi mshikaji. Piga risasi mshikaji. Wamempiga risasi ndugu yetu. Wamempiga risasi ndugu yetu.
According to online activists and commentators, many Tanzanians have begun sharing content quietly through private groups and encrypted channels. A document now circulating publicly is calling on Tanzanians to submit any videos, photos, or eyewitness documentation of police brutality from the past 5 days. The goal, according to the organizers of this effort, is to compile evidence that could potentially be presented before the International Criminal Court (ICC). Calls for President Samia Suluhu Hassan to face international legal scrutiny have been growing. Some activists and human rights advocates argue that the scale and nature of the alleged violence could constitute crimes against humanity. These claims remain allegations unless formally investigation and proven, but the pressure is clearly building. What makes the situation particularly sensitive is that Tanzania has historically been regarded as one of East Africa's most stable nations, a country where political transitions were predictable and where state institutions functioned with a reputation for order. The recent footage challenges that perception, portraying a very different reality, one where state force appears to be deployed against civilians in the dark, out of the public view, and without obvious provocation. The emotional weight of these videos cannot be overstated. For many viewers, these are not abstract images of a distant place. These are scenes of familiar neighborhoods, familiar streets, and familiar faces. The reactions online range from disbelief to grief to anger, and in some cases, fear about what comes next. Analysts warn that moments like this can shape national identity for generations. When a state's security forces are seen to turn their weapons inward, the social contract between the government and its people is shaken. The trust that citizens place in the institutions meant to protect them becomes fragile. And once that trust breaks, it can be extremely difficult to restore. As this story unfolds, several key questions are emerging. 1. Will the government respond directly to the footages? Will there be official statements, denials, or explanation? Will the videos be independently verified? Any credible investigation will require specialists to analyze timestamps, locations, shadows, firearm types, and personal identification. Will there be domestic political consequences? The opposition may then decide to use these videos to push for inquiries, rallies, or legal challenges. And lastly, will international bodies intervene? At the heart of this situation are ordinary Tanzanians, citizens who simply want to live without fear, exercise their democratic rights, and speak freely about their country's future. For them, the emergence of this footage is not just evidence, it is testimony. It is a record of what they witnessed, what they endured, and what they want the world to understand. The question now facing Tanzania is not only about who holds power, but how that power is being used. The coming days may bring further footage, more testimonies, and possibly more international pressure. And with every new revelation, the narrative shifts further away from silence and closer to visibility. Because in the end, the darkness that was meant to hide these events is being pierced, one video at a time. And once evidence enters the light, it becomes part of the public record. And history does not forget. Thank you for watching.